Hello, 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 hello. Hayabasi, hayabasi, hayabasi. Welcome back, my people, my baby fan base, or rather my friends. I give thanks for every one of you who clicks on the link. Every link every link press is two blessings. So for more, yeah. But thanks for tuning in to the Source Roadcast. Unfortunately, it's still a monocast as I'm still planning stuff, but we move regardless. So I hope you guys' weeks have been dope. Finally, the government is deciding. Okay, not really deciding, cause I mean the real people know kwa ground. Watu wengi wamekuwa tu wakiishi. Corona is a hey, chance sema is a scam. Kanaweza kujiwa, but yeah, you know what I mean. So anyway, I hope you guys have been having a good week. This week, I have very serious thoughts that I'd love to share with you guys. And today, the main thing that has been going through my mind is something that I was meditating on with a few mbandes of mine, and I'd like to call it challenging the mind. Hey, na sound kama Pepe Minambo. Pepe Minambo is a motivational speaker. He always used to tell us fishy things. If you want to expire, you need to be inspired. I even forgot. Inspire yourself before you expire. But anyway, challenging the mind. I am recording this on when? I think this is the 30th of September at 7 a.m. Munasikia makuku. But yeah, so challenging the mind. Reason this thing came to mind is, this last 2 weeks I've been doing a lot of readjusting. And what do I mean by challenging the mind? So I'll give a simple example which I tell my friends. So I see most of us are always like, the world is unfair, guys should be doing this, why aren't guys doing this? And so even myself, I mean, I was there at some point where, the government, why? And then at some point I started looking at myself, I started looking at it internally, where I was like, yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you have to realize one thing as a human, the easiest thing, it shouldn't even be a talent, is complaining. Like, complaining is so easy, or commenting on issues. It's the first what? It's the first phase of anything like you can do in terms of contributing to any sort of conflict. So I started looking at myself internally in the sense of like, instead of asking and like blaming people why, I started asking myself like, as an individual, what am I doing about it? Apologies for the why am I apologizing? But yeah, apologies if that sound irritates you. I have a cold. Niko na baridi. So yeah, so as I was saying, I started thinking about it, and I think the whole mentality of challenging the mind really hit me as I was doing my own music thing, because it reaches a point in life whereby you can either accept to be comfortable with like your situation and your life, or you can always accept to keep challenging your mind. And what I mean by this is trying to like try kudu vitu proactively, like trying to do things that you're not being forced to do, but they're hard. So let me give you an example. So like about 2 months ago, was it 2 months? Not really. Yeah, 2 months ago, I started doing cold showers. Again, reality is not by choice, but I mean, I got a little motivation. Wakati ule unaitwa instant shower yangu ililipuka. And so, for this 1 week, I was just like, man, anyway, like what? Cold showers are not death, So I started taking cold showers, and I can tell you, for the first week, of course, you have to revise. You have to revise before you enter the shower. Before you enter, You just you know, and then you dive in, and it was hard. It was hard, but what I started noticing are like small things, of course, and I even started sharing with my friends, and I was like, "Yo, it's like I'm starting to see this showering cold water thing is a life hack." And the reason I was seeing it like that is, again, at the base, I felt like I was challenging my mind, whereby I was like, I mean, first of all, if I'm not in a situation where I'd rather like I can still shower hot water, hata kama si ya shower, ningechemusha maji ya sufuria na ni shower. But just deciding to put myself in a position that's outside my comfort zone. And that's like very basic, but the reality is majority of us, the last time we took cold showers willingly were in high school. And that was because life was hard. Nasikia siku hizi in high school, children have instant showers. As we had that shower, it was like a pipe. It just hits your forehead. Tat. In fact, we used to come early to school so that you can steal shower heads. Huko ni Kabarak, lakini uko unafika mapema naiba shower head ya semester, and you can even, others were renting it out for 100 bucks, I think. But yeah, so that was like the first time I was actively like, this is actually possible. And the beautiful thing about like cold showers, more so cause if you're a guy who is terrible at managing their sexual energy, like terrible, it's a good way to start. Because I mean, at the bare minimum, you're starting to challenge yourself in the sense that nothing bad needs to happen to you for you to like address changes in your life. So until now, so 2 months later, I'm still showering cold showers. Though there are some days I think, yeah, I've showered warm once in a while. I won't lie, but majority of the time, 95%, unless kuna ile baridi ile ya mashetani ya Nairobi. So yeah, so the second thing I moved in terms of challenging my mind, and I'm still in this process, was like to switch up not my diet. So for like 2 weeks before this week, and maybe might be the reasons maybe I'm not feeling so well, is from last Sunday, last Sunday but one rather. A friend of mine called me Kel the Energy on IG, but he's called me Kel. Was doing a water fast, and I decided to join him uko mwisho. He was doing a water fast with coconut water and just water, basically. For me, I decided to do like a juice fast because in Kenya, I don't know where to find alkalized, distilled, fresh water. We just know tap water here. And I think until Kina Aquamist and their friends show us a video of them bottling the water at the source, cannot believe anything. Yeah, so I did this juice fast from last Sunday, but one to this other previous Sunday. When I was supposed to record, and on Sunday is when I stopped my juice fast. And let me tell you something, my people. Come on, if you just your whole life you've been living the same way consistently, there is a problem. And what do I mean? Like, you're just okay with everything. You do not want to challenge your thinking. You don't want to challenge the thoughts of the people around you. There is a very big problem with that. So this whole week when I was doing this juice fast, and shout out to you know yourselves, all those people who really came through and supported me with all this. I was shocked, let me just tell you guys. And this, I'm sure it's like for most of you, like for most of you, not let me say none of you, like, but a big majority of you, I'm sure, have not stayed more than a week. Even a week. Yeah, let me just say a week without eating the food you normally eat. And this is since you were born. So you can imagine, since you were born, you've just been eating the same food. And most times, and this is the reality, as much as we like to be loyal to ideologies, most times we just inherit the ideologies that our parents, to our parents were what our parents see is life and what is good life. So if you are a Christian and you're a Christian probably because your parents were Christians, you didn't really choose Christianity. If you're a Muslim, same thing. All these things you were. It was in a way subvertly imposed in your life what the beginning phases of your life. Same thing with your diet. All the food you eat probably okay. Now as you grow older, you have a bit of choice when you grow up, but until you are 18, let me say it like that, whatever your family ate, you ate, and whatever probably your family's favorite was your favorite. And so this whole week, I was just eating juice, fruits, juice, water, and I was just shocked. By the time I was reaching day 3, I was like, I was so energetic. I was so energetic. I was just in shock, man. And that's what I mean by like challenging your mind. Like I was just in shock. It was 3 days in. I'm taking fruits. I'm sleeping better than I usually sleep. I feel more what? Just more energetic. And yeah, at no point was my body feeling lazy. And it's very hard to explain because now by the time I was reaching like the 5th day, though I'll sound like some chakra person, but I began almost feeling like some unexplainable, euphoric, strong energy. I don't even know how to explain this. Sounds very alchemist like, but you get me. Like by the time I was getting to the 5th, I felt like my body was on such a roll. Like I felt like my body was functioning at its peak. And, I was just I thought about it and I was like, wow, wow. The reality is like nobody probably would have told me like, bro, do this, like do this, just do it. And it's because of late I've been so infatuated with like the power of the mind and how you can almost like literally manifest anything you want. And just connected to that is what I was thinking. I just started asking myself like why do we do certain things? Like why are we addicted to some certain type of foods? Why are we used to some certain type of lifestyle? And again, why are we not changing? And the answer I got to as I sip this hot water. Jesus, hiyo imenichoma. Mixed with cold water. So what I came to notice was people, to some extent, have lost their will to live because I feel most people and the type of work they do is not really work. And what do I mean by work? If you're going to an 8 to 5, it's still work, like it can still be fulfilling. But I mean work in the sense of, I cannot quote the Bible verse, but I'm sure Christians and all those people can get back to me. But I believe work is supposed to be fulfilling in all ways. And the big problem with our time is most work, the only fulfillment you gain from it is monetary. And most of this is for the cases where you're employed and working for someone else. Probably, of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you're doing something that you also love, apart from the fact that you're hoping it pays you, but you love doing it nonetheless. So in terms of guys who work 8 to 5, and let me compare them with someone who works in shags, mwenye anafanya kwa shamba si shamba boy, but wana shamba yake 2 acres na familia, anaitwa Wilberforce. Can imagine such a situation. So this guy in shags, yes, he's not earning 200k per month, right? But the type of work he does, let's think about it. He works in the farm. So physically, does the work add value to his life? Yes. He manages to keep fit because the work is to some extent tedious. If it's tilling, ama kupalilia. For those guys who live in high life areas, kupalilia is planned. It's like It's like what? It's like what you do. What's the? Hey, that's a word. That's a tough word. It's like what you do like after a few months after you've planted. It's like removing the weeds, refreshing the. Jesus. Yeah. So physically, he benefits that tizi anapiga tizi. Mentally, if you think about it, and this is one thing I appreciate about going to shags, like just being around shags, the silence, the no concrete jungle, the natural sounds, the no pressure and the good vibes that are always in shags. Ushago watu watakusalimia, but in Nairobi, hey, if you greet people in Mamatatu, people will think you're a preacher, ama you're selling those things for cutting cabbages. They'll be like, why are you greeting us? Can't you see we are suffering? Leave us. So, yeah, mentally, that's one thing I think we also take for granted. Where in shags, the environment is therapeutic. The nature is clean. There are no like negative vibes. I mean, for lack of a better word, So, physically, mentally, you're taken care of, even if you're in mkulima. Emotionally, how are you taken care of? In shags, it's very hard to be an introvert. In that, like a lot of things are still very community based. So you always have to attach some like emotional value to the people surrounding you and constantly interact with them. So this constant interaction makes sure at least like it makes sure like there's a sense of fellowship and a sense of like just unity and community. So you can't really you work as a group. There's a collective effort to ensure like everyone is okay. And that's what I love about Shag. Even if you are the drunkard, like they'll still take care of you. Like it's still a community. Then spiritually, of course, we know there are 6 million churches in Shags, ACK, AA, all of them. Yeah, but at least, sadly, that's not a good example. Yeah, they're at least to some extent they are grounded somehow in their spirituality, in the religion. Let me not say spirituality. So take a flip side. Ukuje sasa kazi 8 to 5. In an 8 to 5 situation, physically first, it's a no-no. You wake up, you enter the matatu, laziness. Apart from, of course, the grinders, the guys who have to like walk from home, guys also work wasiishi like kwa slum. Hata wase wengine wenye ni magrinder wenye waishi kwa slum apologies. So yeah, so if in terms of physically, then after you get to work, you sit in the office from 8 to noon. Then now you go for lunch. Then you come back, you sit again from 2 to 5. So in terms of physically, unless unafanya kazi ya mjengo, there's very little you gain in terms of work. So you're actually working, but your body doesn't recognize like you're working. Maybe your mind will, but your body doesn't to some extent recognize you're working. It just feels very like it's chilling. Emotionally, second thing, living in the city and just this city life has really trained us. And not really trained us, it's because all of us have become so self-centered and chasing that paper, it's just that rat race, as they say, such that like we don't have time to focus on each other. Like you do not feel like, apart from maybe your immediate family and people who you love, or if you not love, people who you finesse each other, like people don't really have that inherent need to like see how someone else is doing. And that's why you'll find guys are very comfortable with just entering matatu, wearing your earphones, and staring at your black screen until you, okay, not black, but like you know what I'm saying, until you get to work. And when you get to work, same thing. The way the offices are organized is, okay, at least nowadays I know people are trying to do this cool open plans, but like most offices are still organized in these cubicle setups and very dull rooms where you just have to, where it forces you to just focus on your work. You can't even maybe interact with your colleagues as much. So emotionally, again, it's a minus. Then let's go what? Mentally is even worse, because now most times we have surrounded ourselves with the false perception of reality, or like of what success is. So For men, I think it's different. For women, it's different also. But I think for women, okay, for men, I think it's difficult when it comes to the perception of what a successful man is, because you know, guys, as I was saying, we need to be cut some slack, cause not really cause, but if you think about it, for a man, it's like very two distinct lines. Like you're either great or you're trash. You cannot just be a. Well, no, you can. I think it's possible, but like it's very in society. There's no room for an average man, and more so now. In the spirit of women empowerment. The empowered, some, not all. Again, the empowered queens, some. I've heard them say like, if I out earn you, what are you telling me? And so for a man, and that's why men, as I think, are so focused on chasing that paper or that success, because it gives them validation in terms of society in general. Because there's nothing as frustrating to a man as not being like financially stable, I think. So for men, I think that's why men really lock in and even and grind harder, because there's so much that is banking on their success. Like a man's life, it's like it can't start unless you're successful, So, and I think for women too, but I think for men, like the pressure is so much more, because you'll be inherently, we are supposed to be the providers, and also to be able to provide and even guide and even offer that sense of security. Like you need to be that guy. You can't just be a commentator, then you want to to gain all the privilege that comes with being called a man. You have to be able to add value to people's lives, essentially. For women, in terms of work, I think they're really good, because I think it's fine. Like I don't think there's pressure in that sense, but there's definitely pressure in the sense of, I think women have a very strong disconnect amongst each other. And the reason why I say this is, when it just comes to this issue of just standards, like society standards. So I came to notice like women really, yeah, really, they really suffer from this. So working, I don't think is the big issue, but almost like perception, like how society sees you, is the big issue. And so this comes from, also I talk about the beauty, like the unattainable standards of beauty that have been set. So I was reading somewhere and watching things on YouTube, and of course also going through social media, and consistently, like, I always used to ask myself like, yo, where are the normal photos? Those first times when you were on Instagram and Facebook, like, yes, there were filters and but there were normal photos. Like somebody would just post a photo sitting on grass, or post a photo, doing basic things. But nowadays, our online is so perfectly curated that it has given us this illusion that those are the lives everyone is living. Though it's not really the lives everyone is living. It's probably the ninth take of their photo or video, with a lot of searching for lighting and a lot of editing. Like, I'm just shocked. And the worst part is, as kids are growing up, this is what they are seeing as the normal. Like, you have to look this good, and this is what has really brought out this I think this need for women to almost look the same and not be content with like how they look as individuals. Because everywhere you see the beautiful women, quote unquote, are the women who, sijui do they do sijui what regiments to their faces, they sijui use what products, they sijui, I don't even know. And any, to be honest, I'm sad. I'm sad because this whole issue of makeup and like all these unattainable standards of beauty. Not even makeup, wearing the heels, dressing in a certain type of way, if it's getting plastic surgery, they all come from and this is the truth. And you can agree with me, disagree with me, you can cry also. But my opinion is that all these things of, oh, I have to do my hair a certain type of way, or like chemicalize my hair, I have to put makeup, or I have to do these regiments, or whatever, come from a deep feeling of inadequacy, cause in my opinion, of inadequacy. And I say this cause if you see what has happened, it's almost like it's women who over time have created this pressure amongst themselves, whereby other women have made it fashionable to be unnatural. And these have become the majority of the women. So in a subtle way, it's like a new standard of beauty, quote unquote, has been set, where if you do not look, quote unquote, perfect, if your face doesn't have pimples, if you're, if you're sijui, I don't know, like, kwanza me, to be honest, like this makeup thing, I do not understand at all. Like it's very counterproductive. And I think I talked about it last time. So just in terms of women, I think you really need to, if you want to survive, you need to unplug from that whole group mentality that women have right now, where you have to do things in a certain way to be beautiful. And my advice is, because me, I don't know, but I tell you, just as many guys don't really focus on that. Like, if you want to be beautiful, just be kind to yourself. And I mean this by like just try, like, because most of us complain of things and we don't know where they're coming from. So somebody will be like, oh, I use makeup for my acne, or like to hide my acne, which I understand to some extent, but you should address, or you should maybe look at, maybe why am I getting this acne first of all, or why am I having these conditions? And these things come back to like, and that's what I mean again by challenging the mind, not just be comfortable with like, man, it's this person's fault, or like it's life's fault, it's not my fault, me, I'm just adapting. That type of mentality is really dangerous. So you should just like think in terms of inwardly, like what am I doing wrong, or like what can I do better? And so in that sense, I think you'd do some self-improvement to yourself. You'd do some, yeah, you'd have some growth on your end, because you'd be tackling the real issues. And for most of these things, most of for like skin issues, to be honest, it comes down to like what we eat, what to eat as people. Of course, there's some people who have skin conditions, be it eczema and stuff, which are like exceptions. But like for those guys, for us who like experience like rashes or like stuff like those, it's most times it's because of the food we eat, and also, to be honest, because of the products we use. Because as we always say, like for guys, we do not use anything. In fact, we use the same towel for 1 month. We just apply normal oil in our faces. Yeah, and we are so beautiful, and you guys do 6,000 regimens. 6,000 first I shall apply tonic water, then I shall put what scrub on my face for 30 minutes, then I shall put cucumbers in my eyes. And you've done all this, like, it's just the same thing, like, as someone who, to be honest, like, goes to the gym but eats poorly. Like, you go to the gym every day, you look fit, but you eat trash. You eat like junk food every day. The reality is, outside you look good, but you'll just die soon, because yani, you're scamming your body basically, instead of genuinely trying to see how you can understand your body. And you see, being buff is not being strong. Let me just tell you. Like, being strong is like being fit, and being lean being like the Kipchoges. That is now being strong. Because being buff is not sustainable. And I always ask myself, look, there are very few old buff people. Yeah, it's very there are very few like old buff people. And what I'd say, yeah, it's like it's not really about having big muscles. It's about being fit and being able to like. And I think endurance is more important than strength. Like, as in, you'd rather have more endurance than just look physically strong. But you're like those chickens for grade, those chickens for broilers. You're just big, but your bones are trash. So anyway, in the spirit of challenging your mind, that's what I want to encourage you to do this week. Like, if you cannot even take a cold shower in the morning willingly, then you cannot be. How do you expect to go against the government? How do you expect to make change if you yourself can't change the basic things? If you can't challenge yourself, like if you can't stay a week just eating fruits or eating water, or like drinking water. You can eat water if it's ice cubes. Yeah, so I'm still correct. But yeah, like, you need this week, man, like, challenge yourself. Don't be normal. Like, don't be basic. Don't be basic. If you're used to doing something, do the opposite. If you're just somebody who's used to like being so confident because of how they look, how they dress, down dress. And because that down dress, chill, be low key. See if, because this confidence and this self-esteem should be in your mind. You shouldn't ground, or this is actually the best point. You should not ground your self-esteem and your confidence in material things. You should ground them in things that are innate to you in your mind, things that are kind of spiritual. And if you do that, that's when no one can touch you. But if it's your degree that gives you confidence, or gives you a sense of validation, or your job, or your car, or your makeup, or your clothes, or the people you hang around, if these are the things that give you like confidence or self-esteem, then you should always know that can be taken away from you at any time, because you're not in control of what gives you joy, or like what gives you strength. And so, yeah, that's what I'd say. Like, for this week, yes, you should just start grounding yourself in things that give you joy and a sense of fullness. So if you're working, even if you're in an 8 to 5, just be truthful to yourself. You need to start asking yourself those questions. Like, yeah, this is work, but what if the only thing you're gaining from it is money? At some point you shall be, and I'm not wishing this badly on you, but at some point naturally you will be frustrated, because the reality is you're just building someone else's vision, and that's it. And you find for most of our parents, I think they were content with that, because with the amount of indoctrination they had also got, like, that was life to them. Getting a good job, getting a family. But for most of us, and being in the time we're in, we're so self-aware and so, sadly again, individualistic, in the sense that it's very hard for us to internalize a life that we're not at the center of. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. And a good thing because at least you get to prioritize the self to some extent. A bad thing because you might end up trying so much to chase personal like gains that you really forget to see the people who are around you. And like, maybe it's somebody who was around you or something that would have made that difference in your life. So yeah, I just want to tell you guys, like, in the 2020, before this pandemic ends, like challenge your thinking, challenge your mind. If you're just there existing and comfortable with your life, then you're probably that person who thinks like the most they can do is just offer opinions and comment on stuff. And by the way, opinions are not bad, but you should strive to make your opinion matter, not just have an opinion. You'd want people to want to hear what you have to say. Then at least your opinion has value. It's not just an opinion because you have a mouth. Yeah, so I'd encourage all of us to do that this week, and even for the rest of the year. Like challenge your thoughts, challenge your thinking. And if you're not around people who do that, like, you really need to step out of those spaces that just encourage you to be normal. Like, most of us are destined for greatness but are wasting time doing normal things. Like, and this one thing I was telling my friend, that the reality at the end of the day is 95% of the jobs that we do are not natural. And what do I mean? I mean, like, in the case where in the case whereby, let's say, we're in a situation where we're not in the same, there's a reality or like the same context where there is like work like this. Like, can your skills be used in a natural context? So yeah, you're a what? You're a engineer or a what? All these things. You're an engineer. What else can you be? You're a guy. You're a consultant. I don't even know jobs. You're a lawyer. All these things, and all these things are tied to an artificial concept. Like, they are not things that exist naturally. So even if it's the law, the engineering, the quantities, all these rubbishes that we call careers are not grounded in nature. And that is why they are never fulfilling. Because apart from the money, there is no inherent value you're adding to nature by what you're doing in those jobs. And so I'd encourage you to tap into that, because now that's what drives into what your purpose is in this life. Because your purpose is to add value to the life and the people that are in your life and the people that surround you, basically. And if your job doesn't help you do that, you will to some extent feel some sense of inadequacy. Because in the case whereby, and I'll use myself as an example as I am trying to conclude. In my case, I'm sorry, and for most guys who are in this music industry, you know how this thing goes. Most of when you're starting, it's very hard to, like, you can't get paid, of course, but like, it's very hard to, because that's how people are, just best exposure game, eating exposure for breakfast and stuff. But like, for me now, I've been doing music for 2 years, and my whole attitude was that I want to add value through my art. Not I want to be rich or I want to be paid, but I want to add value. And what did I mean by that? I meant, like, I want what I'm doing to affect other people's lives, basically. Be it if it's to encourage them, to relax them, to give them positive energy. And that was my main goal, like, to be able to add value to people's life, not just to do it because I can. And what I can say with that approach is, like, life becomes so simple and satisfying. And where now it reaches a point, getting the money to you becomes secondary. And what remains the main priority is being true to yourself and what you do. And so you can imagine, for most of us, we cannot take that attitude for work. Because, I mean, who will just want to go to work, like, now, a proper 8 to 5, with the facade that they're just trying to add value, because you're not adding value. And even if you wanted to add value, it's almost like you've been restricted. That's why you're being compensated instead of your value dissolving into the organization, and like you're being told, yo, shika this 70,000 for your value. And so for these 2 years, I've been able to really gradually progress. And to be honest, it's because of that attitude. It's not because of the attitude of I want to be. Of course, I want to be the best, but like my approach is not to win, or is not judged by the number of people who think I'm cool or successful, but more like I judge myself by the number of people who I can impact their life positively. And let me tell you something. That thing cannot be quantified, but it's the greatest satisfaction you can get from this life. When you feel like you're part of something greater, you're not just existing. And the moment you tap into your own purpose, and as I said last episode, like you cannot find your purpose. You have to put yourself in the right environment for your purpose to thrive. So, just in that sense, for all of us, and most of for guys struggling with like work, and they're feeling like, yo, this thing is not coming through. And even for those guys who maybe lost their jobs, like if you put yourself in the right environment. And another key point, you need to allow yourself to fail sometimes, because in that failure is where growth and success, and just maybe that's the trigger that your life needs to move. And most of us fear failing because of expectations. And I want to tell you, like, expectations are a scam. Like, then just think about it like in the most basic sense. And I always say this, like, also for somebody who's like studying or struggling with school or work, and you're always like, hey, pressure, my parents. And this one thing I've noticed, and it's sadly it's a societal thing whereby people will give you this pressure of life and shit, until something bigger in life happens. Or not do I mean like, or the moment you become, let's say, sick, or the stories of, oh, what are you doing now? How come you're not getting work? All those things disappear. And now it's about, as long as he's fine, as long as he's healthy. And that's what I want you to like think about. Like, most people really don't care about you like that. They just project their own insecurities. And it's because everyone is in the loop. Everyone is in the matrix. So everyone wants to be on the same page. Everyone wants people to struggle. And taking yourself out of that loop is what you need to do. And you can only do this by letting go of those expectations. And that means accepting to fail. And this is according to society's standards, not your standards. And that's what I'm saying. And for me, that's one thing. And now I can say, being 2 years since I dropped out of law school with a bang, I give thanks. I can see the value of that decision. And I can tell you, it's not like it was easy. It's not like I stopped law school, then voila, everything happened. But I used that as my motivation. Even the sense of disappointment, the sense of people think I'm a failure, I used it as motivation for like, I know I'm not a failure. And I know I have it in me to money. If I was able to do law school and go all these rubbishes, KCSE, Nini, if you're able to do those, and that's a system that's been imposed on you, you can do anything for something that you want to willingly get. And that's what I believed. I was like, I'm the same guy. It's just that people are telling me I'm a failure because I'm not doing what they want. And now it's been 2 years of me doing what I want. And I can tell you, I'm the happiest guy in the world. The happiest. And most people usually think, hey, what will happen? Now where do I start? Like, just start, man. Like, start by failing. Then now you can be like, that situation is behind me now. What do I do? And let me tell you, man, it's so fulfilling doing something that just adds value to your life. Like you wake up, like today I woke up at 6 to record the podcast willingly, and that's when you know, like, you just love what you're doing. It's not about being paid. It's about sharing and feeling fulfilled. And that's what I'd say. So even if you're working and you're in a situation even you can't like leave work, start investing in yourself, or like investing in things that ground you, that give yourself a sense of gratitude, a sense of purpose, a sense of community, because those are the things that make us feel more human. Yeah, yeah, I think that is it. So this week, challenge your mind, my people. Challenge your mind. If you're used to driving to town, panda matatu. If you're used to walking with a matatu, level up. Go with an Uber. You know. Yeah, but like just constantly challenge your mind and challenge your thinking. Do not be normal. Do not be normal. It is most people who are normal are not happy. So challenge your mind to be abnormal and do not go against the norm. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are the two things I wanted to talk about today. Challenging the mind, and yeah, just the false standards of like success and beauty, and how we need to be careful and not to care. Not to care. Not to care. Do not care. If you're an African, okay, you see, now that's the bad thing of working an 8 to 5. You can't go to work with like just a crazy afro. Unless you're those IT guys. Yeah, but like create an environment that allows you to be you. Yep. And you're responsible. Like, don't start saying, oh, man, this life, pressure, rubbish, 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 excuses, rubbish. It's you. We have the power in our heads, and we can manifest anything. And for me, that is my goal, to be a living example that it's possible to do everything without having to rely on validation from our society. And this is the only way we'll break these stereotypes and finally make it cool to be African again. Yes, that is the end of my podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the end. For those who have reached the end, I don't know. I need to find a serious gift for you. Suggest. I don't know. Should I be playing exclusive music? No, but actually I can. I know what I'll do. I'll put an email link first down there for anyone who wants to contribute to like topics. But hopefully, by in the coming weeks, I shall do the roadcast. As you can hear, it's still a monocast because I'm alone. But I'm happy I did it. I was feeling a bit sick today, but because of doing this, I actually feel better. So I give thanks. And for this week, I wanna ask that all of you have peace of mind, clarity, and get a sense of direction. Because I feel most of us are lost. Lost, of course, because society is trash, but also lost by choice. Because we choose to indulge with the material so much. We are so satisfied with the material things in life that we do not want to look further into why we are here and why we are called made in his own image, or rather her own image. So yeah, you stay blessed, have a wonderful week, and impose your purpose. Like, start fighting, like that inner voice, give it a microphone, stop suppressing it, and it shall be well. You guys have a blessed week. Thanks again for paying attention. I give thanks. And see you next week, my people. Blessings, love, peace, joy, everything. Amen.